This is your boy Jared Smith, host of the It Is What It Is podcast, and also your friendly neighborhood real estate agent. So, as promised, as I stated on the first episode of season 2, that before every podcast episode, I will be dropping a real estate tip for the day to kind of help you navigate your real estate needs, whether it's buying, selling, renting, or investing. So, with that being said, let's get to it. The one tip that I want to give you guys and ladies for the day when it comes to real estate is do what's best for your situation. Now, what do I mean by that? So, as you see with the news and also your other people that you may be knowing that practice real estate, the market is hot right now. One thing that I notice is that a lot of times, not saying this is necessarily a bad thing, but a lot of agents will always try to tell you that every moment is a good time to buy or sell. I highly disagree with that because everybody's situation is not the same. So I know that a lot of times that we see on social media and everything like that, buying a home and owning a home is definitely a milestone and achievement, which it is. But what I like to tell you is that there's always an opportunity for you to buy and sell your home. Especially if you're a first-time home buyer, there's always that time to get your first home. Do what's best for your situation. If now is not the time for you to buy a home, rent. Now, I know that renting is a stigmatized practice considering that fact that people feel that renting is a waste of money, but the way I look at it is that there's, whenever it comes to putting a roof over your head, for you, your and your family, your pets, whatever it may be, that it's never a waste of money. So that's the tip for the day. Do what's best for you in your current situation. So enjoy this episode of the podcast. Talk to you soon. A little rap session, but yeah. So one of the things that we're just talking about image and things like that. Like I don't mind. It's just one of those things you already know, especially as a black man. Like we gotta maintain that image, but it's just like I think a lot of times we go into like certain like white spaces and things like that. They take you playing that image as a sign of like, all right, I could step over this line, and then sometimes I'm learning how to let them know like, yo, I could turn this off. Like I can really turn this joint off and let you know like. Mama didn't raise no fool, man. You know what I'm saying? Because if my grandmother found out how I was letting people talk to me, I would get in trouble. So, but yeah, no, I'm not lying. Like, when I see other black people in those spaces, I'm just like,
yes. Yeah, what's funny is at my job, they just started doing these African American series.
Stop, bro. Stop.
So the African American series, I mean, they're pretty dope because it's facilitated by white people, but they have like black presenters.
Okay.
But then they send it out and they expect all of the bosses to really talk about it.
Okay.
And the good thing is I'm the black guy in senior management for where I work at. And, some things they're just like, well, this lady said that and, they want us to address it. But
right.
if we address it, we feel like we're going to be, somebody's going to take us to HR. So it's kind of like, I'm like, well, listen, I'm here. I'm not easily offended. We can talk. Just don't call me a nigga.
That's real talk. That's
we
real
can
talk.
talk.
That's real talk.
Just don't call me a nigga. And, but I had to tell them first, just because it's a black person speaking and giving their presentation doesn't mean that all black people feel that way.
That is true.
This one lady said, don't call me African American. I'm black. They're both the same to me.
To me. Twitter will say otherwise, but I feel you though. I feel you.
And it's just like, listen, like, not everybody feels that way.
Yeah,
like, you can call me black or African American. It's how you call me it. Your cadence, your tone.
Yeah. Black. Like, we gotta fight. Like,
that black.
Like, that. Because honestly, that, like, whenever white people refer to somebody of like color, and the first thing is that, it's automatically racist. Anything that comes out after that, I'm like, bro, like that is an emphasis and 3 exclamation points. No, bro, you're not doing it. Like that black. I'm like, nah. Just take up the that. Just say the. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's because that's the thing. It's like, it's so. Sometimes it's just so micro that like I was like, am I getting a little bit more sensitive? And then I'm like, no, it's just like you starting to pick up on how they really like insert their, you know, opinions. You know
but
what I
then
mean?
the question is, when you hear like the little things that you might take as jabs, do you think it's thrown as a jab from them, or is it just their ignorance?
So, all right. So it's funny story. Funny story. So, I was talking to my girlfriend. You ever watch Everybody Hates Chris?
Mm-hmm.
And the teacher he has that says racist stuff, but she don't. So
She thinks she's being like,
but so we're on our way to Arizona, right? So we're like in the shuttle from the parking lot to the airport, and this guy. So this is like after the flood and everything was just happening. So our
the flood.
No. When like Philly and Jersey, the hurricane just passed by a few weeks ago. So there's this white guy that was in there, and then so like I said, our driver was of Hispanic ethnicity. So I don't want to say Spanish because I don't know.
Yeah.
But the white guy was like, "Did you guys have a lot of water?" He was like, no aqua," to the guy. And then the dude turned around, because mind you, this dude was speaking perfect English the whole time. So it was I looked at my girl like, what? And then the dude turned back and started looking at us like, yo, did this guy say it? So, and I realized the reason why like he didn't jump on him was because like, yeah, it was racist, but like we all knew like he didn't mean nothing by it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where it gets a little dicey, because it's like, yeah, you're offended, but considering a lot of times where these things, the spaces in which these things happen, I don't want to say you're not in a position to correct it, but it's more like, all right, the consequences of you correct. Because like we were saying earlier before we started recording, like the minute you say something back, it's like you the angry black guy. You know what I'm saying?
You know, but I also think it's about sensitivity and the way that people hear things, or the way that they take them is completely different. Like, I'll give you an example. When I started as a caseworker a long time ago, and my office mate, Caucasian, openly gay male. You know, I might have been there for 3 days or so, and he turned around to me in the office. We shared the office together. He turned around and he said, "Hey, Bub." That's what he used to call me. "Hey, Bub." Like, right. Hey, Bub. We're my name is Tyree. So
right.
You know,
Bub Tyree, like
whatever. You know, but he's like, "Hey, Bub, about to go to lunch. You want to come? You want to go to lunch with us?" I said, "No, I'm straight." And I turned back around and kept on working. I got called into HR the next day for gay bashing. For gay bashing.
Yo.
And all I said was like, "Nah, I'm straight." And I literally turned back around and started working like,
because he didn't know what that meant to us as a people. See,
I'm a West Philly kid.
Yeah.
Don't let that suit fool you. I'm a West Philly kid, and I know the lingo. I speak. I mean, at that time, I still had some trouble separating how I spoke in a professional environment versus how I spoke in the street. But he took that a certain type of way. I got called into HR. Y'all could have been fired.
Yeah.
Luckily, the HR rep, Jessie, she was from North Philly.
So she knew.
She knew exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But that kind of tarnished our relationship, like in the office. I mean, we were able to get back, to where we, I guess, as a friend. I mean, he would be considered a friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, he took that completely wrong.
Because it's funny you said that. There's this thread going on Twitter right now, where people are saying like when black people talk their lingo to white people and they don't know what it means. So someone was like, so this one girl said like, "Oh yeah, girl, you ate that," meaning like, you look good, like you served the look. She said she got reported to HR for fat shaming her. So that's how come a lot of times it's just like, I always look at that as a privilege. Like, you guys could take something offensively that you don't know the meaning of, and we get reprimanded.
Yeah.
But stuff that y'all say, even if they don't mean anything by it, that we take offensively, we still face the repercussions of it. You know what I mean? Because as soon as you said that, I was just like, dang, like I know how he probably would have.
I was scared shit.
Yeah.
I was scared.
Auntie, he did the cussing, not me. No, you good.
I was scared, man, because I had literally just left my other job.
Yeah.
Had started with them. My wife, I think, she was pregnant with our second one.
Oh, congratulations. So, I mean, I know.
But yeah, I mean, that was a scary time, man. To be called into HR, brand new. I don't know what I did. typically, if I know what I did, I can make up a lie in my
Yeah.
head.
Or you have defenses. It's like exhibit A. Well, I know you gonna say this, so I said that instead. Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah, so that was an experience. That was an experience. So.
Nah, listen, man. Well, listen, we talk about everything on this podcast, y'all. So we about to jump into this. So, welcome everybody to episode 2 of season 2 of It Is What It Is. I'm your host, Jared Smith, and for anybody that's just tuning in, this is a podcast that centers around self-accountability and using that principle to kind of allowing you to get creative and navigate your life to getting it from where it is to where you want it to be. And we do that by having candid conversations like you just witnessed just now, and also by interviewing guests such as the special man that I have with me right now, who's going to get into what it is that he is into. So one of the reasons why we focus on self-accountability is that, as we see on social media or even people we go to advice, they never really provide us a mirror to reflect on our own decisions and our own mindsets as we go into things. So that's what this podcast is about. So with that being said, I have to introduce this special person here. He is probably one of the most gracious people I've met so far. And the reason why I say this is he was supposed to be an early guest on season 1. And I didn't feel like I was fading him, but I could have probably interpreted that way if I was on the receiving end of it. I kept pushing it back. And then when I started getting to my real estate, I was like, yo, bro, like, season 2, I got you. But he kept in touch, gave me a free shirt that's actually in the wash right now. But definitely a very stand-up guy, very ingrained in the community, very humble, easy to talk to, and just an all-around great guy. So we have... Do you want me to introduce you, or do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm curious to see how you introduce me. Yeah.
So this is Tyree Lewis, the CEO and founder of the brand Gods or Guns Clothing. Now, I'm not going to get into too much of that because I really, really want him to explain it himself, because it's such a profound and interesting concept, and that's actually one of the main reasons why I'm happy he decided to pop up on the show. But outside of that, this guy's very, very intertwined in the community. I remember this one time I saw on Instagram, you were doing like a tie-tying workshop with the youth. Born and raised in West Philly. Please don't start singing the song, y'all. Exactly. Please don't start singing the song. And one of the things is that, with a lot of people, I know that we're born and raised in West Philly, they saw a lot of violence. And, throughout his story, there was a lot of loss, a lot of trauma, and the one thing that I have to say I give him the utmost respect for is what he turned his life into. So as you heard earlier, this man is now married, kids, working in corporate America, but when he tells his life story, I want you all to really, really focus on the things that he experienced and endured, willingly and unwillingly, and the decisions and the choices that he made to get out of those situations. And honestly, his story just represents what this podcast is about. So with that being said, guys, we have Tyree Lewis on the show.
I dig that, man.
You dig it? You
dig
dig
it,
bro?
I've never had anybody do an intro for me.
Stop it, man. Stop it, man.
No,
Listen, man.
that.
I'm going to have to send you an invoice for that, brother.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, man. It's good to have you on the show, man. Like, seriously, it's been long overdue. And I just got to say, man, I just really appreciate you, being patient with me.
I just appreciate you having me here. Seriously, I do. Tyree Lewis, God or Guns, which is better protection. And I don't know if you want me to just kind of
jump into what that means.
So God or Guns, which is better protection. I mean, it got several meanings to it. God or guns, they both represent metaphors. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the word God, you see that it's spelled out of faith, hope, love, patience, forgiveness, representing the positive things of life, while the word guns is spelled out of violence, struggle, anger, hurt, representing the negatives of life. So in a moment of adversity, what are you choosing, God or guns? But in short, I just tell people, God or guns is about the person that believes in a higher power but still struggles with their choices. And again, that goes back to the metaphors, positive, negative, good or bad. Yeah. So it's just really, make a wise choice. It's not necessarily all about guns. But I do tell people, don't let a 30-second interaction get you 30 years to life in jail. You know, or don't let a 30-second interaction make you lose your family. You know, I mean, shit.
No, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that.
Definitely.
So I'm not gonna lie. So it was. I didn't really know what it was until you sent the bio. Cause I'm not gonna lie. So even though this is what I thought it was, and I thought it was still been tough. I thought it was like you're a Christian man that believed in our rights to bear arms.
I am.
No. So all right, cool. I wasn't too far off.
Yeah.
So, but I also thought it was like, all right, like, how, like, I don't know. I just thought it was like something really about guns. Like, you know what I mean? And I thought that was really cool.
And that's the thing. A lot of people from afar, like I do a lot of pop-up shops, you know,
That's
like
dope.
to
That's
sell
dope.
my merchandise.
That's dope.
But the thing is, people, as we were talking earlier, people come up with their own. They think whatever it is that they think, you know. So people walk by like, God, are guns. And before I really got like my elevator still down, people would walk by frowning face, and I didn't know how to take that. You know, but then once I started getting my confidence up and just telling people exactly what it is, that's when the sales started rolling in.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it did. The sales started rolling in, man, and it made me realize that there's so many people out here that's like me. You know, they believe in a high power. It doesn't necessarily have to be God. You know, I also have Allah or ammo.
Yeah, I saw it.
For the Muslim community.
That's bro. I'm not like that's kind of gangster, bro. Like Allah or ammo. Like, sorry.
No. I mean, I appreciate that, but it just makes me realize that there's so many people out here that's like me. You know, believe in a high power, but also feel the need to protect themselves.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And that's where I thought it was coming from. It was like, what do you do in those moments where like you need like tangible protection? You know what I'm saying? Like, God forbid somebody broke into my house. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think a prayer in that moment's gonna turn the dude away. So it was like, all right, I got something under the bed. You know what I mean? So that's what I thought it was at first. And then when you sent the bio, I'm not gonna lie, bro, I had to smack face. I was like, how do I tell this man I had everything he was doing completely wrong the whole time? But no, that's dope though. So before we get into it, where can people? I know you said you do pop-up shops, but like, where can people go to support you and your business and your other ventures?
Man, I mean, people can start on my website.
Okay.
It's godorguns.com. And the or is really important because if you type in God and guns,
you get a
like
whole
some
different
political
community.
Donald Trump stuff pops up. You know, and I'm not gonna get into like politics or anything like that.
Can
but
if you want to.
Nah, we don't need to. but godorguns.com. You know, I even have a little video on there, just giving like a brief explanation that I just kind of gave at the beginning of this. They can go there. They can call me 267-974-6159. I deliver. I got T-shirts. I have hoodies. I have sweatshirts. You know, I'm getting into sweatsuits.
That's tough. That's where it's at right now.
Yeah,
that's where it's at right now.
And honestly, I do a lot of pop-up shops throughout Philly. I was trying to do them like every weekend, but having a kid, wife, all that stuff, you know, it's kind of like, yo, like you also need to be here too. So I was like, all right. But I do pop-up shops throughout Philly, but Jersey also shows like mad love, man. Camden, Trenton, yo, they show mad love.
They know, my listeners know I have a gripe against Jersey, but we'll let it slide though. We'll let it slide.
But no, so it's not just there. But I mean, Camden, Trenton, Jersey show love, and Philly, whenever I pop up, they show love. But I've done Delaware as well, and now I'm just trying to expand. So I'm looking into Maryland, New York.
Okay.
It's, you know, I got people out wearing stuff in Texas, in Florida, in Cali, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. I'm just thinking of some of the places that I've mailed shirts to. So
that's tough, man.
And I do Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, whatever. People, just no checks.
No checks.
I've had a bad experience with that.
I've had plenty of bad experiences with checks. Funny story about a check before we get into it. I'm not gonna say the organization's name, but I got a scholarship from there, and it was like my personal check on behalf of them. Bro, when I tell you, when I went to the what we call it, the bursar's office, went in, turned that check, and I got a call. Like, they never called me a day in my life. They called. They said, your check bounced. I was like,
from like a prominent organization.
Yes, I'm not gonna say the name. I want to
you might as well say it.
I can't because I don't know
what it is.
It is what it is, but I don't want to sully any potential business venture. So I was just like, so I called the organization up, And they were like, "Oh yeah, we just realized we sent out a bunch of bad checks." So I was like, "Y'all know I gotta pay that bounce check fee too."
Yeah, so y'all
So
put that on.
I understand, man. That's how it come from me. Like I'm a big fan of cashier's check, man. Just take that joint right out my account, man.
Yeah. No, definitely.
But yeah, no checks, y'all. No checks. All right, so just let's jump into this. So, what was the motivation for creating the platform?
So again, I mean, everything is kind of like a threefold answer in a sense, you know. But like for starters, Nas is one of my favorite lyricists, and I use that word specifically. Lyricist, not rapper.
Gotcha.
You know, he's one of my favorite lyricists, and in his song, No Ideas Original, he asked the question, he said, God or guns, which is better protection? I can't decide, that's a hard one. And honestly, that line stuck with me as like one of the hardest lines in hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, but I kind of like started to think back to my childhood. You know, I mean, I think as a child, my parents kind of sheltered me to the point where I didn't really see like certain things. I mean, yeah, I watched TV and seen some of those things, but my pop always told me like, that ain't real. You know, that's not real. So it made me like think, okay, well, all this stuff on TV is fake, whatever. So that won't really happen here.
Yeah.
But it was around the time when I was about 11 or 12 where my oldest brother was murdered. You know, and that was the first time where it really hit home. You know, and then I started to develop like this sense of, I don't know if it was anxiety, fear, or what it was, but I had like this, like a scared feeling, you know, and at that age, at 12 or so, moving forward, that's when I always started to think like, man, good dudes don't make it out here, you know, but I understand, you know, the choices that we make lead to some of our outcomes in life, you know, but just moving forward, man, you know, I've seen friends, well not seen, but, you know, I've had friends murdered, people in the neighborhood killed, you know, a lot of dudes going to jail just for some of their choices, you know, but fast forward to, or I guess from the point where we are right now, just rewind back to 2010 when my pop was murdered, you know, that,
Sorry.
yeah, no, I understand. I mean, but for me, it's not real. It's still not real. You're talking about 11 years later.
I can only imagine.
And I can still talk about it.
Yeah.
I can talk about it freely. Like some of my family members,
Yeah.
hopefully they're not offended or feel some type of way about me speaking the way that I do about it, because to me it's still not real.
Yeah.
You know, but for my pop, you know, anyone that knew me knew, you know, my pop was everything to me.
Yeah.
Or at least from a kid, you know, up until the age of like 12, I idolized him.
Yeah.
And then, you know, from 12, 13 or whatever, moving forward until like adulthood, couldn't stand him.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't stand him. All these rules and all these
Yeah,
rules and
yeah,
things.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
come
yeah.
on, man. You know, but he was my superhero as a kid. And then when I later got older, like I had my first kid, 18, my sophomore year in college.
Oh, wow.
You know, so I started to see the things that he talked about and understood. But when he was murdered, you know, we got the word of the people that were responsible. Revenge was the only thing on my mind.
I was about to say.
Revenge was the only thing on my mind. You know, yeah, so I do bear arms, multiple, you know, and it was a day, once we got the word of who was responsible, I had a plan in mind. And in all honesty, my plan was to not kill the people that killed my pop, but to kill their fathers.
Oh. Wow.
Just because y'all took my pop, and I don't, you know, I mean, the dumb thing is,
And
I don't know what their what their relationship is with their dad.
Yeah.
If their dad was a stand-up dude, like,
Yeah.
no, don't do these things. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was gonna kill y'all dad, because now y'all need to feel what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm talking the night before, and I planned to like break on record. I was gonna do this shit broad daylight. Sorry for cursing.
No, you good.
I was gonna do
this
this broad daylight, you know. So I had my guns, cleaned them, and honestly, I'm talking the night before I was gonna go out and do this. I had a dream, and in that dream, I ran up on one of the dude's fathers, and I pulled my gun out, man, and I emptied the whole clip in him. When his body dropped, my 3-year-old was standing behind him with all of the bullets on him.
Wow.
Man,
Bro.
you talk about waking up
Yeah.
in tears. Like I woke up in tears,
Yeah.
you know, crying, and yeah, I couldn't. that dream, nightmare, whatever the word is, you know, it that hit me really hard, man. And then I put it together, and it's kind of like it was a sign. If you kill this man, you're going to be hurting your family. you know, and then it's kind of like the sign from God, you know, do you choose God or do you choose guns? You know, and I feel like I've got a lot of situations that occurred where it was just kind of like, do you go with the positive route or the negative? So it's, yeah, it's a lot. Sorry, I ain't mean to make the room really dark.
But that's what the show's about, man. That's honestly what the show's about. Sorry, I'm just checking my watch to make sure my camera's
No, it's cool.
But no, that's what the show's about. I was just, you know, but no, that's what the show's about, and it's just like I definitely think where you're at now isn't indicative of where you came from. That's why, like, I didn't like. That's why I'm like, y'all. That's why I'm shocked. It's like the way you carry yourself, you talk, where you're at in your life right now. I would have never thought that that's what where you came from. And I think that's just a testament of how far you've come and how far you've grown. I appreciate that. That's why I was like, whoa. I was like, for real? Like I would have never known. So that's. I was gonna throw in like a little anecdotal story about how I felt like, you know, how we're all confronted with those decisions. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully, but what you just said, honestly, realistically, a lot of us face them in situations just like that. So, do you think that's one of the reasons that plays into a lot of the inner community violence that we experience? Like, you know, people, like, when they're faced with that decision, that because of where they're at emotionally, that makes them say, all right, I'm just gonna go with this.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is real impulsive.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that. You know, a lot of people respond emotionally, and I can't say that in a bad way because I still struggle with that too. You call my wife, I mean, she'll agree. You know, some things I respond to a certain way before I think. You know, and I think that that's the problem right now. A lot of people aren't thinking about like the consequences. Yeah. You know, and you gotta have that person. You gotta have somebody there to kind of tell you like, yo, like what you're doing is pretty stupid, man. Yeah. You know, I got a homie, my man Kyle out in Maryland. We can feed off each other. And he's like, yo, you just being irrational because you're mad right now. And it's like, nah, man, forget that. You know. He's like, yo, tell me. Calm down. Like, come back to it. You know, in a couple hours or so. And in all honesty, I think that that's the realest thing, man. Just take a breather. But the thing is, when you're in that moment, is, you know, it's kind of hard. And then with guys, you know, guys are so egotistical and prideful.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Get into that.
Guys are just so egotistical and prideful that, you know, certain things just can't slide. Yeah. I think, you know, in my bio I mentioned. Am I talking about?
No. I was just having. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to. Like, I'm paranoid. This is real good. I'm just paranoid there's something going wrong. And they're like, oh, Jared, like. F that podcast. I'm sorry. You great, bro. You're great. You're great. You're great.
Nah, I mean, it's just, you know, decisions, man. You know, when it comes to like your pride, with, you know, like somebody step on your sneaks, you can easily wipe them off. Yeah. I mean, I'm there in my life right now. You know, at the age that I'm at. But when I was a little younger, we might have threw hands. Yeah. You know, because you stepped on my sneakers. But at the same time, that's what I've seen on TV. You know, that's what I heard in music. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, in all honesty, you might see that as well on the street. Yeah. You know, just dudes fighting over nonsense. But back in the day, it was fighting. We used to throw hands.
We didn't have, I was about to say that, I mean, you've been, Jerry, you grew up in the Northeast. Yeah. I did. But before I came to Philly, I lived in Brooklyn. For it was for a year. I'm not gonna cap because I lived with my grandparents, but I was there every single weekend, so I was enough to see what was going on. So and even in Philly, because even though I lived in the Northeast, we were the only ones that had basketball courts with nets on them. So you know how it is with us. Oh, you know they got nets over in the Northeast. So we had people from all over. But like you said, people used to just fight. So I remember when I want to say I was getting into high school, and I was just like, we shooting now? Yeah. I was like, you know, I remember it was like, yo, we about to, you know, but
the trunk.
People used to say that. I remember the first time I heard that, I was just like, and one of my mans was like, yo, you gotta run, like, we gotta get out of here. I was like, what if he just wanted to get his air off the ball? Like, I was like 11, and he's like, no, nigga, nigga, you gotta run. I was like, oh snap.
Yeah.
But no, I like what you said. Like, that's actually what I want to talk about too. Like how you said, like a lot of guys are emotional, and I agree. And that's like a lot of times when I see on social media and stuff, and they're like, oh, now this isn't the bash men. This is just a safe space for us to kind of like come forward and hold ourselves accountable.
If they feel bashed, then it's because we're talking about them.
Right. But the thing is too is like you know, raised and everything. It was like, oh man, don't have emotion. We don't do this. But I'm like, anger is an emotion. You know what I'm saying?
But as you get older, you start to debunk all of the things that you might have learned as a kid.
Yeah.
Men don't wear pink. Bullshit.
Yeah,
I wear pink.
I got a couple pink ties in the closet for real. Yeah.
Men don't cry. And I mean, in all honesty, that was one of the things that I've learned growing up, that men don't cry.
Yeah.
Which is why I felt like my pops funeral really wasn't real, because I didn't get a chance to really grieve. Like, you know, it's crazy because, and we're not going too deep into trauma and stuff, but my grieving comes out at the weirdest time.
That's how it worked.
Man, I was sitting there in the gym one day, just on the treadmill, and I think Crossroads came on. Harmony. And I mean, it's crazy because that was one of my pop's favorite songs.
Yeah.
And I'm on the treadmill and I'm just jogging, and that song came on. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here crying.
Yeah.
On the treadmill in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, and for one, I've learned growing up, you don't cry. And then if you cry, you definitely don't do that shit in front of people.
Yeah.
You don't cry in front of people. What are you doing, Tyree?
Yeah.
You know, but you just learn that a lot of the things that you learned as a kid. No, when you get older, man. You don't have to follow those same rules. Yeah. So, I don't even know how I started talking about that. It's
trust me, when you listen to this, like you're gonna see like how this flows perfectly. Like you're doing great. That's one thing I learned about grief too. Because I'm not like, there's certain songs such as that I'm like, yo, I can't listen to. You know what I'm saying? Unless I'm in that moment, because if it plays at any given time, like I'm like, yo, babe, turn off all the lights, yo. Yeah. Like I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. Like don't, you know what I mean? But I think a lot of times how men are brought up is like that. Keeping that emotion aside is seen as strong, and then and I'm not gonna lie, like personally, I didn't see how so my mom and my dad were in my life, but I live with my mom. Okay. So my mom was always like, listen, I could show you how to be a man or woman once, but I can't teach you how to be a man.
That's dope.
Yeah. She did. So, but what I didn't realize was, I picked up a lot of tendencies that were considered to be woman traits. You know what I mean? Like, I had a lot of...
And that's dope that you identify that.
Yeah.
Or did it take for somebody to try to clown you and...
You know what? Kind of, sort of. You know what it was? I didn't realize until I got into college, because, you know, in college you're living on your own, you know, and you're able to talk to girls a lot longer. Because, you know, in high school, I got to see in between class or on the way. A girl was like, she was like, you talk a lot about your feelings. And I was just like, don't everybody do that? She was like, not dudes. And I was just like, oh, like, well, I mean, I'm not changing now. Like, that's all I know.
Did that stop you from hooking up? I'm sorry.
No, we can get into it. No, it did not. And we're going to talk about that, man. No, it did not. That because it was true to me. You know what I'm saying? It was true to me. You know what I'm saying? Of course, obviously, with who I'm with now, it didn't work out. But it was just like, you know, a lot of times my masculinity did get called into question, because it's just like, you know, like, they talked about my feelings. I would be vocal about like, yo, like that hurt my feelings. Now, granted, I'm not gonna lie, like we're in the climate now where this is cool, but back then, oh my God, like.
So it's I hate the phrase cool because it honestly it adds to my way of thinking when I say that right now society is so sensitive. And it's, come on, man, like the little things bother people, and now you want to cancel folks for this or cancel folks for that. Get a life.
Yeah, I feel you.
You know, like, get a life, man. Everybody really sensitive, and it's just like, yo, you can't just voice your opinion. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's one thing to voice your opinion, but then it's also another to voice it and be really disrespectful.
Yeah. There is a fine line, you know what I mean? I definitely agree with that. Yeah. And so, you know, So are there any people you feel that needed to be canceled? Because we could tie all of this in, like, you know, because I definitely think that when people have done things that led to them being in some cases justifiably canceled, they had that opportunity of like, all right, am I gonna do this to have long-term gain, or am I gonna take this short-term pleasure to have long-term repercussions?
I'm sitting here thinking, man, I don't know, like people that were. I mean, you got people that's getting canceled because they said something about Beyonce.
Okay, no, that's
and
cool.
it's just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
come on, man. You know, I mean, you got some famous folks out here that's probably doing things to little kids.
Yeah.
And people know about it.
Yeah.
And this person's still getting money. You know, and stuff like that don't sit well with me.
Yeah.
You know,
there's things out there that really need to be reprimanded. Because I said this to somebody too. Because I was just like, with the R. Kelly thing, I was like, yes, he's being punished now, but I'm like, do y'all know he's not the only one?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think about stuff like that, but I do agree that I think a lot of people are a little too sensitive, which is honestly why I wanted to start my podcast, because I was like, there's respectful ways of expressing an opinion, but everything, like you said, that doesn't go with the status quo doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. You know, it's just a different opinion about some things.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was really dope. So we went through that. So here's what I want to ask. So as you went about, like, you know, you talked about that dream and everything. I'm pretty sure that everything wasn't peaches and cream when you were going about changing your life. So what were some of the challenges as you were in the midst of, you know, changing your life that was popping up, that was trying to drag you back into your old life?
So when you say change in my life, just break it down for me.
Like mindset changes, you know, hey, instead of going over here to hang out, I'm going over there, you know, pretty much anything to kind of like guide you into, you know, being on the path of where you're at now.
Honestly, I think it's just life experiences, man. You know, you do certain things, or you're in certain positions, and you're able to get out of them, and then that's when it's like, damn, I'm grateful. You know, and you show some grace in those situations. I mean, in college, I worked like at the work study program, so I was getting. I think at that time, I found the check. I was getting like $5.15 $5.15 an hour work study program. Just had my first kid. And I gotta send my check home, you know, because my wife, she's older than me, so she graduated and went back home. So she's paying for daycare and everything. And meanwhile, my check every 2 weeks is $125. I still gotta eat too. By this time, I'm off campus, so I don't have like the free meal plan. You know, and so
that's something we gotta cancel.
Yeah. So you know, so growing up where I grew up, you know, I knew certain folks and how they moved, you know, to make extra bread. So I got in touch with somebody up IUP. That's where I went for my bachelor's of IUP. And, you know, I started just selling like nickels and dimes and stuff for weed. And I knew it was wrong. When my wife found out I was doing it, she didn't want to take my money.
Wow, bro.
Yeah,
your wife is a real one,
but
man.
So, you know, she didn't want to take my funds. And it's like, well, I'm working.
Yeah, technically.
I am working, but that's not doing anything for me, you know. So I was doing that. Me and one of my homies, I won't say his name, but I remember walking down the street with our connect, and we were walking down to the dorms, and I seen him walking out the dorm with these two big white guys. Didn't pay no attention, and I'm just like, yo, you know. He looked up, and then he put his head back down, and he just shook his head as he was walking with the dudes, and it's just like, oh shoot, like they got him.
Yeah.
So then I started thinking like, yo, I'm not built for jail.
Right.
I'm not built for that.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm honest with myself.
No, me too, bro.
You know,
it is what it is, man.
Yeah. And
welcome to the show.
And that was the moment where it was just like, all right, you don't need to be doing this, because now you won't see your kid, you won't see your family, you know, for however long. I mean, nickel and dimes, you might get still like a year or whatever it is, but it's still time away from your family.
A year is a long time.
Oh,
a year is a long time. People really don't understand that. Like when you're like not in jail, oh, you're because you got things going on. But when it's just you in that cell, oh man.
Listen, I'm a certified investigator for the state.
Okay.
So I investigate things like abuse, neglect, death, exploitation, all those things. The company I was working with at a certain time, they have like homes in different counties and different states. So I went out to Tennessee to do one, and this was around the time where it was snowing, but it didn't snow yet. I went out there on Thursday. I went out there on Wednesday. I was supposed to come back home Friday. It started snowing here in Philly, and my flight was canceled. So it was canceled Saturday, canceled Sunday, canceled Monday. I was able to come home on Tuesday, but in that time when I was out there, although I was able to walk around and freely go get some food, I couldn't get home. Dog, you talk about emotions, man. Like, I was sad. I was sad, man. I'm sitting here FaceTiming my wife and my kids, and that's all I could do. That hurt. That hurt, man. That was another reality check. Like, jail is never an option for you.
If you haven't, man, and the fact that if people listened in, there's a good episode with a good friend of mine, Chester. I'm not gonna lie, after this interview, like, I went home and cried. He was actually falsely in prison for like 30-something years. And he was just kind of like opening up about, like, he, to this day, he doesn't know what freedom is. And what's crazy is it kind of ties into what we were talking about. I think a lot of times when people make those impulsive, we're gonna speak for men, because I think we need a space for us too in this conversation. We don't think about the consequences. You know what I mean? And like, as you said, like when you were home and things like that, and you were like watching TV and stuff, like, and your pop, RIP was like saying like, that's not real. When it does become real, we don't think about those consequences until sometimes after the fact.
But I also blame I blame news, like the news media, social media, just because we see all of these crimes happening, and obviously we're in a society right now where everybody's desensitized to crime, murder, killings, whatever. They show all of the crimes that's happening, but they don't really talk about the consequences.
That's
the people
true.
that are being caught.
That's true.
Now every murder that happens, they're not catching every one, but the people y'all catching, talk about it. Expose that because people need to see, like, there are consequences.
It needs to be a deterrent. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And you know what I was gonna say too? I think your concept kind of can go beyond extreme, like, as real as that is. I think it even go to, like, I'm gonna use myself as an example, finances. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I didn't realize how important credit was until like 23, 24. I'm not gonna hold you. So I was like, maxing out my credit card, paying the minimum due. Now I don't feel like paying that today. And then it got to the point where it was like, that was the guns, like short-term pleasure. Spending what I don't have, or spending it before I get it.
Yeah.
And then I'll never forget when I went to get my an apartment. The lady turned her face up when she ran my credit. She was like, "Ooh," I was like, "That's not good."
Yeah.
But the thing is, like you said, they don't talk about consequences. Because, the credit, I was like, "Oh, that just means you can't get a loan from a bank."
Yeah.
But I didn't know that, like, by messing that area of my life up, it would affect so many other things. And I had to call my grandma and grandpa, like, "Hey, can y'all like be like a guarantor on this apartment real quick?" You know what I mean? So I definitely think that what I love about your concept is that it can be really applied to any type of situation.
Yeah, I mean, a few examples that I put out there, and I'm working on like a visualization, like something like a commercial or something, but God or guns, it literally could be God or guns.
Yeah.
Or, the positive negatives, as you mentioned, like with finances, but you could think about a person in a relationship, when things aren't going right. Are you going to sit there and try to pray together, go to counseling? Not knocking anyone that does, but are you going to, go to counseling and try to work on things? Or are you going to step to the side with stranger Susie and let her fill that void? What you going to do?
Previous relationship, guilty as charged. Man.
Yeah.
That's real, because we didn't even talk about that too. I think a lot of times when people have relationship issues, they don't realize how vulnerable that makes them to outside influences. You know what I mean? And I did promise my viewers I would be a lot more transparent. So it's funny you said that. So that was one of the downfalls of my previous relationship was when we were having issues, you know, and like, you know, not seeing each other, going back and forth, you know, and then, you know, when you a man, you alone, it's like, that's the
Susie right there.
bro, that strange fruit, you know what I mean? And then, you know, I didn't think of how that would affect us down the road, you know what I mean? So, you know, that's a very good thing. And honestly, because of that experience, it's allowed me to think long term, like, you know, if I'm about to do something, like, you know, cause not my relation, nobody's relationship is perfect, but now that I've had that experience and I've seen what the consequences of it was, it's like now when I'm in that position, I'm just like, nah, I'm okay. It's hard though, don't get me wrong. It's difficult, but that's a real thing. And you're married, you said, right?
Yes.
So how long you been married for?
14 years. Yeah.
I'm gonna do a zoom in on that, man. That's beautiful, man. So let's talk about it. So how does your platform and the mindset that God Your Guns bring, how's that been intertwined in your relationship? Well, you can be real.
So I mean, we can be transparent.
Yeah, of course.
So, me personally, I have a creative mind.
Yeah.
You know, I used to be a rapper back in the day, so my mind just never stopped spinning. Like
Right.
And you know, with God or Guns, it's I'm always thinking. You know, always thinking about how to advance it. Like the fact that I know that there's so many people out there that are on the same page as me. I keep thinking, how can I get this out to more folks? I want to be on certain TV shows so it can really be out there.
It's a great thing that needs to be spread, man. I mean,
So, you know, a lot of my conversations are about God and Guns, what I can do to advance it. You know, the pop-up shops, I'm doing a bunch of them. I do a bunch that I can publicize and then some that I just don't publicize, you know. And so it takes a lot of time. So even when I'm working professionally, I'm still thinking about God and Guns, and it's, you know, so it's been a challenge balancing my time, you know, just to say the least, with, you know, my relationship professionally and then God and Guns. But my wife has been vocal, you know, she's been helpful when it comes to like the color selections. But even in the beginning when I first started, she kind of gave me she motivated me, you know. She probably don't know, but yeah, she did. She motivated me to make sure that my message can reach women as well, because there were certain things she didn't think that this was really for women, you know. And at first I took it like I was offended.
I would have been offended.
I was offended.
That's a realistic.
You know, but she came to the first pop-up shop that I did. My man Aunt sent me something that was happening in Trenton at some restaurant, and I went. She did the pop-up shop with me. I was nervous as hell, and we seen the success. First pop-up shop, and that was the first, like my first pop-up shop. That was the first time I experienced what it felt like to sell out of a certain size and not have it. So it's a good problem. It's good that I sold out, but it was the problem that I didn't have more when people say, "Yo, you got that pink one in medium?" Nah, man, it's sold out. Oh man, I would have bought it. You don't see all these other colors, man. Make another selection,
red, black, green, blue, like, you know what I mean?
But yeah, so she's been to a couple of the pop-up shops with me, and then she also sees all of the pictures that I post on like Instagram or Facebook. And I remember asking her, it might have been like a month or two ago, like, you still think that this is not for women? And I mean, she was honest. She was like, I stand corrected. And it's just like, yeah, you know, I mean, because the women support. I mean, I got the support of both, you know,
that's
males
beautiful,
and females.
man. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. Because what's crazy is when I used to, I don't do it anymore. But when I looked at the breakdown of the podcast listeners, things like that, I was like 64% women. I'm like, that's kind of dope. And
Did you think otherwise? Like, did you think it was going to be?
I didn't, honestly.
More male.
Between me and you, I had no idea.
Okay.
Like, honestly, I was surprised. Like, I had one person be like, "Yo, bro, I listened to that." Like, it was because the podcast was kind of like something that was like, was like a passion project. I've been holding on to it for like 4 years. So when I did it,
Okay.
like I wanted people to listen to it stuff, but I was like, yo, God, like I just want this out so I can think about other things. Cause I don't know if you can relate, but like when there's something you know you're supposed to do and you're just not doing it, like it haunts you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I will say I've always had an all-inclusive mind,
Okay.
which is why, like, you know, a lot of the conversations I like to leave as, like, you know, open-ended things like that. But one of the things I kind of had to hold myself accountable for was like, okay, like, hey, you want to be all-inclusive, but like all of your guests have been men for the most part. So that's when I was just like, what I realized is sometimes as creators, content creators, it's just like, it's easy to identify with what you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're a man, black man, it's like, all right, the easiest way to connect with somebody is if I find someone that I can identify as.
Yeah.
So I had to reach the archives, and man, the women showed out on the show, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sometimes it's like it's great that you had that, you know, your wife to kind of like challenge. Because Sydney challenged me all the time. So I could have did this.
It's annoying.
It is because you know what it is. I had to read about that. It is annoying because this is like when you like, especially when you go to your woman, it's like, hey babe, it's like this is what I did.
Yeah.
It's like what I'm learning is like they're looking at it from an outside perspective, so like that emotional attachment isn't there. So they're automatically telling, all right, bro, like I know you want to go right, but I think you should go left. Like it sucks.
And that's the thing because whatever that passion project is, it's your baby.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that. You know,
me too.
This is my baby. Why don't you share that same amount of passion?
Yeah.
You know, not saying you're rooting against me, but when we don't have that same amount of passion towards my baby,
it hurts, man.
Yeah.
It hurts. Because I will say with Sydney is like she, like what she does, she knows how to talk to me. She's like, you know, you're doing a great job, right? I'm like, all right, yeah. Now tell me what you want. Now tell me what you think I can do better on. Because like, I'm not like, you know, I like, you know, the previous situation I was coming from, that's what made it hard for me to want to be happy in there. It's like, hey, I want to do this. Oh, but and the thing is, and if that's your woman telling you that, like you, like it's God, then your woman. You know what I mean? So it was just one of those things. But you know, like it's just I just think it's like growing pains with, you know, being a creator sometimes. So I definitely relate. So there's one thing I want to talk to you about, man. I really appreciate your time here. There's one thing I really saw that was like super duper dope was that that event we talked about, that Thai workshop you had with the youth. So where was that and how did you go about getting that set up?
So in all honesty, that was something that was done by another organization, You're Beautifully Made. I was introduced to the ladies, to Shannon, and she said, hey, I got a workshop going on, I would love for you to be a part of it. You got a positive message. How can we work out something? Like, what can we do? And her thing was really just building up the youth in general, because she had a section just for the young ladies, but she also had a section for men.
That's dope.
Yeah, so she had someone else, I forget her name, I can see it in my head, but she had another section set up just for the young ladies, talking to them about whatever they were talking about. And me over in my area, talking about ADLs, job skills, and attire, and why that stuff is important, and how I can speak to it. I've been in several positions where I'm responsible for hiring, firing, and the upkeep, for my department. So I do think that your attire matters. Things are changing because people don't. I see people come into interviews, man. People don't wear ties no more.
Yeah, look, we might take a pause on that. I think that's something we really, really need to talk about. And this kind of goes back to when people, where we had that sensitivity conversation, where it's like if you were to say that, it's, oh, you're policing, but it's just, I'm a firm believer. Shout out to Ma Dukes. There's a time and place for everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't ever think it's ever a place, unless it's like a casual Friday or something, you should always, dress for the occasion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in a job interview, that's the time.
Yeah.
Put your tie on, man. But I learned, even just doing with that event that I did with You Beautiful Made, a lot of people don't know how to tie ties. And the reason
it's real.
It was young, although those kids there, they were from maybe like 13 all the way up to 18, they had staff with them. Like, I don't know what their situation was, but they had some adults that were there, you know, accompanying them, and those adults didn't know how to tie ties.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, I'll show y'all too.
Yeah, that's
you
love.
know, so
that's beautiful, man.
yeah,
that's beautiful.
so to show, you know, to show other men how to do this, you know, it was uplifting because not only did I show them how to tie ties, I mean, they weren't the most perfectly tied, but they got the foundation.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
they learned the basics. Do this, do that. I mean, and there was one kid. I mean, he took pride in it. I mean, his tie was crappy, but he took pride.
Yeah, it was his crappy tie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, he took pride in
no,
it.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, and it's just like, yo, like you need to have a tie whenever you go to a job interview. But thinking about it, I went to my first job, my first real job, because I worked at like the Chinese store. I was like their stock boy.
Yeah.
I worked in the supermarket bagging groceries. But my first real job was at a retirement home down Center City.
Oh wow, okay.
And I remember going to my interview. I didn't have a dress shirt. I wore my dad's. He had like a button-up shirt.
Yeah.
I wore one of my dad's button-up shirts, and you could tell it was a hand-me-down because it didn't fit. It didn't fit at all. But I had a tie. You know, I had a tie on, and I made sure, or my mom made sure that I looked like ready for an interview. Although the job was already mine, I just still had.
But
to
you had to make that impression.
Yeah, and now people don't come in with ties. In that workshop, I was able to talk about the importance of your attire. People can just look at you and just assume whatever.
Yeah.
I was telling my homie the other day, man, I went to King of Prussia Mall, and I seen this lady walking, man. I mean, she looked pretty bad. Like, I really don't give money to homeless people, but if I had like food or something, I give it to them.
Yeah.
Man, if this lady would have asked me for like food or like one of the cookies I was eating, I would have gave it to her. She went and hopped in this, oh man, the what do you call it, the Bentley Jeep.
Oh, man.
And it's just like, this is why you should never judge people off of how they look, because you never know their situation.
No, real talk.
You know, but the thing is, that's what most folks do. They take a look at you and they're judging from the jump. You know, look at his shoes. You know, his pants aren't ironed, his shirt's not tucked in, his belt doesn't match his shoes. That's also another lost art.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's crazy you said that because I'm not gonna lie, like I used to be like anti everything. Like, this is anti-black. In some cases, it might be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To challenge that, I say, this is the world we live in. You know what I mean? And that's the stuff my mom always instilled in me to think about.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't match the shoes. What's the big deal? What's the big deal? What's the big deal? What's the big deal? And then it wasn't until like when I got into the job working out where I have to dress up all the time.
Love it.
Yeah, I love it too. I was just like, oh snap. Like when people, Jared, you look so nice. I was like, oh snap, mom.
So when people would tell you that you look nice, do you take it as an insult? Like, well, what do I look like on the other days?
No, so I'll say this, and I'm gonna have to rest my shoulders off. I get, I honestly, it's not even that. It's the fact that I get offended in a sense. It's my ego. I'm like, man, I look good all the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's like telling LeBron James he had a great game. It's like, bro, I'm LeBron James. I'll always have great games. You know what I mean?
But he doesn't.
He doesn't. But in the sense of like, it's like, but we expect him to. You know what I mean? So.
So do you discredit him for, and not to get off topic, but do you discredit him when he has a bad game?
No.
Considering he had all of these good games, and it's like, yo, you lost the championship.
You know, that's actually a great topic. No, I don't, because I say this is, you can never discredit consistency. You know what I mean? And that's something that I had to learn in life. That's how I'm not lie. Like, I'm the biggest LeBron James fan. It gets on everybody's nerves. It's like, oh, but he did this. I'm like, what's he like? Season 17 now? Like, one, he's in the NBA. That's one thing. Like, I keep my critiques about anybody at that level to a minimum, even Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Like, I don't tread into the disrespectful territory, because at the end of the day, you are still the best of the best of the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that you can't have an opinion, but it's like, you know, but it's like I can't discredit consistency. For example, like when people are like, oh, Jay-Z's falling off. I'm like, he's been doing this for like 30 years. Like, you can't let the new albums discredit what he was doing since '89. You know what I mean?
But 444 was his last project.
It was. I thought it was good. I thought it was.
project.
I didn't. But you know what? I think people say it's falling off around Blueprint 3. Yeah, when it was
Blueprint 3 or
this one in
the
the Empire State of
Blueprint was
Mind.
the, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think, but I was like, he's been doing. I'm like, if you've been doing something for 30 years, like,
And at the same time, the hunger hasn't been the same. Well, I can't speak for him,
yeah.
but I would think after I reach $1 billion, my hunger, I would wrap it up. You know?
Man, give me a smooth 50 million. I'm kicking my feet up, man. Yeah, that's just me. Like I said, I gotta work on some things.
You saying 50? I'm saying give me $1 million. You
Yeah,
can get
I'll take a full 500K.
How many buildings I could probably buy and just flip or rent out? Like, yeah.
But no, I was actually a nice segue though. But I was gonna say back to like the appearance thing. It was just like but I was like that's unfortunately like that's the world we live in. You know what I mean? And I want to say I think it was dope that you saw a need of like somehow like I didn't know how to consistently tie a tie until 24.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So what I used to do is I go to my roommate, Roy,
Yeah.
tie this joint. He just tie it and keep it loose. So I do just tighten that joint up. And I'll never forget it. One day he was like, "Yo, bro, I'm tired of this. Dude, I'm gonna show you."
Yeah.
He handed it to me, untied it. He was like, "Yo, go try it." You know what I mean?
Seriously, man, because people they handicap you by doing
Yeah,
things for yourself.
yeah.
And that's my biggest thing as a father.
Yeah.
It's just like, yo, I'm not going to be doing this for you, man. You like my son. I mean, well, I have 10, 14, and 18. My 14-year-old is just, he's at that stage, I guess, where he likes for people to do things for him. But I think it's because of where we are and his circle of friends. That, his circle of friends are his parents. Their parents do a lot for them. They drive them everywhere. They give them money for all of this stuff. I'm not doing that, man. It's raining. Dad, can you come pick me? No. Walk.
Right.
Or run.
Listen, man. I remember my mom when I wanted to go places. All right, here's $5. I'm like, what's this for? That's to get the bus. Yeah, but that's when we used to do the transfers. It was $2. 40 cents. So I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But you know what's crazy? It's funny you say that because I don't even think it's just for people your kids' age. Cause I see it where I work. So I work in property management. When I tell you, there's people our age, parents still calling for them.
That's sad to me.
I think so too.
That is sad, man, because it's just like, how can they grow or learn a certain level of independence?
Yeah.
If you're still sitting there letting them suck on the teeth, like or the umbilical cord still attached. Like, no, let them do things on their own. I will tell my kids, you gotta try it a couple of times before you even come to me.
Yeah.
Try it a couple of times. Don't fail the first time and say, "Oh, I can't do it." You better. Try it again, and then I'll come over and I'll show you how to do it. I'm not doing it for you.
Wow.
You gotta have that certain level of independence, man. The way I think, like even with my pop-up shop show, I make my 14-year-old son sometimes I make him come with me. I pay him minimum wage, but you're gonna get up and you're gonna represent my company the way that I represent my company.
Yeah.
But I learned that everybody's not me. Yeah. There's no other Tyree Lewis. My personality, my drive, again, this goes back to it being my baby.
Yeah.
I got this passion.
Yeah.
But I be this Joe dude, man. If you go across the street, hey yo, got a guns.
That's beautiful, bro.
I'm calling
That's
people.
tough, bro. That's tough.
Any and everybody that walks by, man. I do these pop-up events, and it's people that walk in, and I think people have like their own demographic in their mind, like who would shop for their business. I don't. I have no demographic. Any and everybody can shop with me. I watched this one lady at my last event. She walked by 4 tables, and nobody said anything to her. She got the mind. I'm like, hey man, got a gun. It's just better protection. Tell me it's. And she stopped for a second because it catches people off guard.
Yeah. It's like what? It's like WTF.
Yeah, and so when she came over, we just started having a conversation. That lady bought like, it wasn't $100. It might have been like $80 worth of things. And it's just like, man, I appreciate that. She said, no, I appreciate you just for seeing me. She's like, those tables didn't see me. And I'm that way too. Like, I'll walk in the store, any store, I don't care what it is, I'll walk in any store. If you have workers there, somebody should be greeting me.
I agree.
Hey, how are you, sir? Be with you in one moment. I can appreciate
Customer service.
But I grew up in customer service as well.
Yeah.
You don't greet me, the hell with your store.
Yeah.
And you get commission?
Aha!
No, forget your store, man.
No, right, real talk. So, hey, we're just going all over the place. I gotta ask a question too. No, because you made a great point. So, you said that you, of course, anybody listening to my podcast can listen to it. But it was something interesting you said about your business, where you said that you don't just market towards like a certain demographic. So if you don't mind me asking, so considering the experiences that you had that led to you creating it, what then made you say like I want this to be for everybody?
Because everyone has a struggle, not the same struggle, you know. But I believe that everybody's fighting some type of battle internally, you know. And you may not believe in God, but you believe in something.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you just think that you just came here, but who am I to challenge that?
Right.
I try not to even get into those conversations. I was at a pop-up shop and an atheist actually came up to the table, got her guns. Well, it would have to be guns because I don't believe in this. And it's just like, okay, well that's your choice. But you know, I still got the shirts. What you think?
Right.
You know,
$20, man. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, and it applies. You know, everyone has a certain struggle. You know, it don't. Everyone has some type of thing that they're battling internally, and it's not just the inner city youth. You know, if you look on my Instagram, God or Guns Clothing, you'll see that I have young black kids, older black kids, young white kids to older white kids, Hispanics. You know, I have people that's disabled. You know, so it doesn't just fit one one demographic in a sense. Like you can market this to anyone, whether you go to church or not. I was going to church, you know, up until the age of 12, and that's when my mom kind of gave me the option. You know, at 12.
I didn't get that choice till I moved out.
Yeah, well, so that was the thing. I mean, I was in church regularly, man. I sang on the choir and everything, and I used to love it. You know, old ladies would come up and give me $1 after race. Oh man, you know. But my mom gave me the choice, and I decided to stay home. You know, and that was my choice.
Right.
You know, I mean, I later got back into church and everything after I got married, but you know, I still went on Easter and Mother's Day. You know,
listen, you gotta go on Easter, man.
The typical days, you know. And in all honesty, man, just going to church, the church that I did go to, or that I do go to, it was a church that was inviting people that struggle, and that was their thing. We love all of you that's here, but we want to reach the people that's out there that's not coming. You know, and yeah, I mean, so they accepted your flaws. I mean, and just being there, like they do like these little videos in the beginning where it's somebody telling their story.
Really?
Yeah, like I mean, one of the dudes in the group that I used to be a part of, he was on the news. You know, I forget what he was. It might have been drugs, and I don't know if you remember how old you are, but it was a bunch of guys that broke out of the paddy wagon on Copman at Frankfurt and Copman. It was all
my
news.
God. When was this? Tell me the year. Some 28. When was the year?
This was some years ago. This might have been like 08, 2010,
I
something
faintly
like that.
remember. I faintly remember because I think my sister was in middle school at the time, and they put them on shutdown because of that. Because of that. Yeah.
So I mean, one of the guys he leads like the men's leadership group at church. He talks about how he had to go sit down. You know, he needed that jail experience to sit him down and get his life right. But he still struggles with certain things as well, you know. And it's just like, we all are battling something internally. You know, people will see me and I smile and, hey, how are you? What's going on? I could be sitting there depressed. But you look at the people that were depressed. You look at Robin Williams. You know, he had a big old smile on his face. Yeah, you know, I mean, just it's just sad, man. I mean, the people that's suicidal, they walk around with the biggest smile, they're giving their things away, they're happy. You know, you just never know what somebody is dealing with internally, and that's my thing, man. You know, just we all have a choice. We're all struggling. Let's just all come together and then show it. Yeah. You know, show that you're embracing your imperfections, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. Because I was gonna say, that was really deep. I don't even know what I was gonna say. I don't even know what I was gonna say. I don't have one question on the tip of my tongue. Well, I'm thinking about my question. Anything you want to ask me?
What's the biggest challenge that you had with the podcast?
Oh man, consistency. I'm not gonna lie. Consistency. It's a lot of fun. Like this is the fun stuff. Yeah. But editing is not fun. But then also, I think for me is like I think. As weird as it sounds, like I don't dare tell anybody this, but it's weird. Like I think none of my guests like being on there until I ask them after the fact. So I put this extra pressure on myself of like, I gotta make sure I show them the best light, show them the best light. So it's kind of like I always want them to feel like, you know, they were that person, because everybody I have on the show I feel is that person. So I think it's also not putting so much pressure on myself, because what was crazy was I had two friends of mine, my friend John and Josh, when I was like apologizing on the page about not being consistent, they're like, bro, like relax, like do what it is you have to do. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges. Also accepting it's mine. I think sometimes, like, you know, I'm just so used to working for other. This is the first thing I've ever created for myself.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, like it's yours. Like you can change up the theme song. You can change up the graphics. You can even change what it is you want to talk about or who it is you want to talk about too. So I think that's one of the things. It's like, yo, like, also take your time with it too, because I think season 1 I used to let the numbers get to me, but now I'm just like, I don't care about that no more.
Yeah. Do you aim for, or do you reach out to certain folks that you see are like up and coming?
Yeah, I do. Honestly, that's how a bulk of my interviews, like, that's how come season 1 got really overwhelming, honestly, was everybody's, yeah, I want to be on, I want to be on, I want to be on, I want to be on. I was just like, oh, shoot, like, it was like you said when you sold out the shirts, that was a great problem to have, and I just had all this content coming up, and then shout out to my guy Kenny. He was we actually went to school together, and then mind you, like, it was always love. Like, we didn't know each other, but it was always like, oh, you went to Temple, what's up? He actually reached out to me and was like, yo, bro, like, I want to be on. You and Kenny were the first 2 people like, yo, I want to be on your show. And then this other girl, Kendra, shout out to Kendra, she wanted to do the same thing too. But yeah, I gotta say, that was the most humbling thing, was when somebody was like, yo, I want to be on your platform. I was like, bro, I only got like 50 followers, you know. But I realized,
you gotta realize you started at 1.
Yeah, or 0. You know what I mean? But yeah, you know what? Thank you, man. That was a great question. So this actually be our wrap up question.
Okay.
We did that. So what is something that you feel? This is how dawned on me. So this is something I ask all my guests. What is a piece of advice that you would give a listener to motivate them into starting to begin that journey of getting their life to where it is that they want to be?
It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, I mean, depending on what it is exactly that they want to do, it doesn't have to be perfect. People think that things got to be like A1, 100% before they can roll it out or actually do it or expose it. You know what I mean? And that's what we talking about business. I mean, but you could also be talking about your relationship. People talk about, I don't want to have kids right now. It's not the right time. When's the right time? Any and every person that I know, I don't know anyone that waited for the right time.
Right.
But I mean, somebody out there will probably chime in your comments.
Yeah, I'm sure. Look, that's a great question.
You know,
that's a great point.
Somebody would say that the right time is after you're married and you've been married for several years. But just because you've been married for several years don't mean you're financially ready. You know, you might be financially ready, married for X amount of years, but your mindset isn't there. You're probably still stingy or selfish. You know. But yeah, I mean, even with a business, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be started. You know, and then you can build from there. As long as people can understand what it is that you want to get out there, just put it out there and work on it.
Yeah.
You know, the work doesn't stop, man. You know, building never stops. I've been established. It's less than a year, but, you know, I still have multiple ways that I want to expand and grow.
Yeah.
You know, so just keep pushing, man. Don't give up, and don't let some nonsense that happened over the weekend mess the week up.
Oh, that's so hard, bro.
You know, some people take like one mistake or one failure as they can't do it. I mean, it's funny. I became a carpet cleaning technician to learn how to go around, and because I seen all these signs like, yo, $100 will do your house. I wanted in.
Yeah.
That didn't work. I started my CPR business, Lewis Quality Services. I was doing all right for a while, but then I just kind of like stopped. So that, I'm not gonna say it was a failure, but I just stopped because I did make some money off of it. But now I'm focused on this, God of guns. You know, sometimes it takes certain steps. You know, you gotta take some of those missteps, I guess, before you actually find like the final product and and what it is that you want to just push forward.
No, that's dope you said that, because I don't know if anybody knew this, but I appreciate what you said about that, because I wanted to be a life coach at first.
Oh, okay.
So that was my thing. I want to motivate people
Yeah.
and you know, you're the best, you know what I mean? But like you said, like so I was like, you know, starting off like, you know, posting like motivational quotes and looking at some courses and stuff like that. And then I was just like, this don't feel real. Like, you know, like in the sense of like at least the way I was going about it, I was like, this isn't going to help people the way that I feel I'm called to help people.
Okay.
So, and then I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, life was happening, previous relationship ended and things like that, so I was in a funk.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, yo, like, it's up to me to get myself to where it is I want to be. And I noticed that a lot of times, these motivational speakers, not that they're not doing a good job, but like I feel like it's unrealistic no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, whether it's you gotta grind, or the universe will provide. I honestly feel like there has to be a way for people to come in the middle. And I said, you know what? That's what I'm gonna be. It's like things won't happen until you start to do them for yourselves, and that's how the podcast came about. And then working in my current job is what kind of led me to wanting to go into real estate. Because the crazy thing is, I used to work at Sherwin-Williams.
Okay.
I was there for like 4 years. Then I went to another paint company for 3 years. So it's kind of like being around people with their homes and stuff and contractors, stuff like that, to then go into property management. I was like, yo, I could just take all of that and turn it into something great. And it was crazy. Like, I mean, I hate to say it, like, I'm trying to be politically correct, but the quarantine part of everything was good for me in the sense of it. Like, you said you had that friend that's like that time where he had to just sit down. Like, that's where, like, you know, I sat down and, like, you know, everything started to come together. So I definitely feel that, man. So it all starts with yourself. So I want to say, man, thank you so much for your time, man, and your patience, bro. And I'll definitely be reaching out to see how there's anything that, if there's anything I can do to support what it is that you have going on, man. Definitely he gave me a free shirt, y'all, so don't expect free from him. But really support the brand and the mission that he has. And then, like I said, I'll be reaching out to you to see some ways we can collab. And just thank you for, you know, traveling out to make time for my little show.
No, I appreciate this, man. Don't downplay it, though.
Nah.
Yeah, your little show.
Yeah, my little show.
No, don't downplay it, man. Tyree Lewis, God of Guns, GodofGuns.com, Instagram, God of Guns Clothing, or what they call it, a handle. At God_or_guns. You know, Facebook is God of Guns Clothing, 267-974-6159. Email is info.
I'm gonna put all that in the bio.
Info at GodofGuns.com. You know, get in touch with me, man. And honestly, if any of you text me or email me and mention my guy right here, I'll throw in a free shirt.
Oh man, stop it, bro. Stop it. Listen, I'm gonna text from different numbers though, man. But nah, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, big dog. And guys, support the brand. And until next time.